Welcome to a deep dive, into a world you might not even realize you're carrying around. It's your own internal universe of, microbes, the human microbiota. We've got an incredible expert guide with us today to help us unpack this interview
Okay.
with Gabriel, a leading voice in the field.
Yeah.
He's going to help us answer the question, who's really running the show?
Right.
You or the trillions of bacteria living inside you?
It's a question that really challenges our sense of self, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We tend to think of ourselves as singular beings, but we're actually walking ecosystems,
Really?
teeming with bacteria, fungi, viruses,
Oh, wow.
a whole microscopic world that's essential to our health.
I've always been so intrigued by the sheer scale of it all. I
Yeah.
mean, we're talking trillions of microbes.
Trillions, yes.
Really?
It's estimated that they outnumber our human cells by a factor of 10 to 1.
Wow.
And when you look at genes, it gets even more astounding.
Oh.
We inherit roughly 23,000 human genes.
Right.
Gabriel points out,
Yeah.
we're carrying over 3 million microbial genes.
3 million.
Yeah.
That really puts things into perspective.
Yeah.
So where do we get our first dose of this microbial magic?
It all starts with mom.
God.
She's the original microbiome MVP.
Oh, nice.
She passes on her microbial community
Uh-huh.
through birth, and those crucial early life experiences,
Right.
vaginal birth
Right.
in particular,
Yeah.
is like this incredible microbial exchange,
Really?
setting the stage for a healthy, diverse gut ecosystem.
Which is interesting because, and, I always appreciate you sharing your story with us.
Oh, yeah.
You were born via C-section and didn't have exclusive breastfeeding.
Right.
So how does that impact the microbiome?
Well, Gabriel explains that while C-sections are sometimes medically necessary,
Yeah.
they can lead to a less diverse microbiome
Uh-huh.
compared to vaginal birth.
Okay.
This can increase the risk for developing certain conditions,
Okay.
like asthma and allergies. Oh, wow. Which you've mentioned experiencing.
Right. So it sounds like the way we're born can have a significant impact.
Yeah.
But is that the whole story?
Well,
Can we change our microbiome later in life?
absolutely.
Okay.
Our microbiome is surprisingly adaptable.
Okay.
Gabriel highlights the concept of dysbiosis,
Right.
which essentially means an imbalance in the microbial community.
Okay.
This imbalance can be caused by various factors,
Okay.
not just the mode of birth. And the good news is
Good.
that it can be corrected.
That's reassuring.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned vaginal seeding as a way to help establish a healthy microbiome in C-section babies.
Right.
What's fascinating here is that it's an attempt to mimic that natural microbial transfer that happens during vaginal birth.
Yeah.
But how exactly does it work?
Vaginal seeding involves taking a gauze
Uh-huh.
exposed to the mother's vaginal fluids
Uh-huh.
and then using it to swab the newborn baby,
Okay.
particularly around the mouth, nose, and skin.
Yeah.
The idea is to transfer those beneficial bacteria
Okay.
that the baby would have naturally encountered during a vaginal delivery.
It's a pretty bold approach. Are there any potential risks involved?
That's a valid question.
Yeah.
Like with any medical procedure, there are potential risks,
Right.
though they are generally considered to be low.
Okay.
The main concern is the potential transmission of harmful bacteria or viruses
Oh.
from the mother to the baby.
Right.
That's why it's crucial that vaginal seeding is done under the guidance of a healthcare professional.
It's also interesting that there's research, albeit a bit controversial, looking at fecal matter from the mother
Right.
to breast milk for C-section babies.
Yeah.
What's the thinking behind that?
It's a similar concept to vaginal seeding.
Okay.
Trying to restore that microbial balance early on.
Okay.
The fecal matter from a healthy mother
Uh-huh.
is rich in diverse microbes.
Okay.
And the thought is that introducing these microbes through breast milk could help establish a healthier gut ecosystem in the infant.
Okay.
Of course, this is still very much in the research phase,
Right.
and more studies are needed to determine its safety and effectiveness.
Makes sense. So early life seems crucial for shaping our microbiome.
Yeah.
But what about later in life?
Well,
What are some of the biggest factors that influence our microbial community as we grow older?
one of the most impactful factors,
Okay.
and this is something Gabriel emphasizes,
Yeah.
is the use of antibiotics.
Right.
Yeah.
Antibiotics are often described as a double-edged sword.
Uh-huh.
We need them,
Yeah.
but they can come with unintended consequences.
Exactly. Gabriel puts it quite powerfully.
Okay.
After taking an antibiotic,
Yeah.
you'll recover a microbiota,
Okay.
but it's difficult for it to be the same as the one you had before.
Wow.
This isn't just about wiping out the bad bacteria.
Okay.
Antibiotics can also decimate populations of beneficial bacteria,
Oh, no.
which can have ripple effects throughout the gut ecosystem.
And that makes me think about all those courses of antibiotics I had as a kid. It makes you wonder about the long-term impact.
It's a valid concern.
Yeah.
And it highlights the need for a more nuanced approach to antibiotic use.
Okay.
It's not just about avoiding them altogether,
Uh-huh.
but rather using them judiciously,
Okay.
only when they are truly necessary.
So what happens when the delicate balance of our gut bacteria is disrupted by antibiotics?
Well,
What are the potential consequences?
as Gabriel points out,
Yeah.
it's difficult for the gut to recover fully to its pre-antibiotic state.
Yeah.
This disruption can lead to a number of issues.
Okay.
One of those pressing concerns is the rise of antibiotic resistance.
Right. We hear a lot about antibiotic resistance these days, and it sounds pretty scary. Can you explain a bit more about how it works?
Sure. Antibiotics work by targeting specific mechanisms in bacteria
Uh-huh.
that are essential for their survival.
Okay.
However, bacteria are incredibly adaptable, and they can develop ways to evade these antibiotics.
Oh, wow.
When we overuse or misuse antibiotics,
Oh.
we're essentially creating an environment where these resistant bacteria can thrive.
Interesting.
It's like survival of the fittest on a microbial level.
So the more we use antibiotics,
Yeah.
the more likely we are to breed these superbugs that are resistant to our current treatments.
Precisely. It's a serious threat to public health.
Wow.
And it's one of the reasons why Gabriel and other experts are calling for a more mindful approach to antibiotic use.
Okay.
It's about finding that balance between treating infections effectively
Yeah.
while also preserving the diversity and resilience of our gut microbiome.
Right.
Yeah.
It's incredible how something we can't even see can have such a profound impact on our health. So if antibiotics can throw things out of whack, what can we do to,
Right.
help our gut microbiome thrive?
Well-
What does it need to flourish?
Well, imagine your gut microbiome as like a vibrant garden,
okay.
teeming with diverse plant life.
Uh-huh.
Just like any garden,
Yeah.
it needs the right kind of nourishment to flourish.
Okay.
And in this case, the key ingredient is fiber.
Fiber, huh. I've always known it was good for digestion, but I never really connected it to the microbiome.
That's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
A diverse, fiber-rich diet is like a feast for our beneficial bacteria.
Really?
These bacteria ferment the fiber,
Mm-hmm.
producing short-chain fatty acids, which have all sorts of positive effects on our health.
So it's not just about us getting fiber.
Right.
It's about feeding our tiny residents.
Exactly. Gabriel highlights this fascinating disconnect
Okay.
between our modern diets and those of our hunter-gatherer ancestors.
Right.
He points out that they consumed an estimated 100 to 150 grams of fiber daily.
Wow. 150 grams. I don't even know if I get half of that on a good day.
Most of us don't.
Right.
We struggle to even reach the recommended 30 grams,
Yeah.
which is quite a stark difference.
Wow.
No wonder our microbes are feeling a bit malnourished.
Okay, so we need to up our fiber game. But what about those trendy fermented foods everyone's talking about? Do things like kimchi kefir and kombucha actually make a difference?
They absolutely can.
Right.
Fermented foods are like little probiotic powerhouses.
Okay.
They contain live bacteria that can add to the diversity of our gut microbiome.
Interesting.
It's like giving your gut a boost of beneficial microbes straight from your plate.
So it's not just hype.
Not at all.
Hmm.
Fermented foods have been a staple in cultures around the world for centuries.
Oh, wow.
And now modern science is starting to catch up,
Yeah.
demonstrating their potential benefits for gut health and beyond.
That's really cool. So we've talked about how our early life experiences, antibiotic use, and diet shape our microbiome.
Right.
But what about the connection between our gut and our brain? I know there's been a lot of buzz about the gut-brain axis.
Yeah.
What's the deal with that?
It's a fascinating area of research.
Yeah.
For a long time, we viewed the gut and the brain as separate entities.
Right.
But now we're starting to understand
Yeah.
that they're intricately connected,
Okay.
communicating with each other through a complex network of nerves, hormones, and you guessed it, the
Okay.
microbiome.
Okay. I'm officially intrigued. So how does this gut-brain communication actually work? What role do our gut microbes play in all of this?
Well, the microbes in our gut can actually influence the production of neurotransmitters.
Uh-huh.
These are chemical messengers in the brain that affect everything from our mood and emotions to our sleep and cognitive function.
No way. So our gut microbes are messing with our minds.
In a way, yes.
Really?
But it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Okay.
It's more about balance and harmony.
Uh-huh.
When our gut microbiome is healthy and diverse,
Yeah.
it can help promote the production of neurotransmitters that support well-being,
Okay.
like serotonin and dopamine.
Serotonin and dopamine, those are the feel-good chemicals, right?
Exactly. So a healthy gut can contribute to a happier mind,
Okay.
better focus,
Uh-huh.
and even better sleep.
That's amazing. It really makes you realize just how interconnected our bodies are.
Yeah.
It's not just about digestion, it's about our mental and emotional health, too.
Precisely.
Wow.
And what's even more fascinating is that it works both ways.
Really?
The state of our mental health can also impact our gut microbiome.
Interesting.
For example, stress can disrupt the balance of bacteria in our gut,
Oh.
leading to inflammation and digestive issues.
It's like a feedback loop.
Exactly.
Okay.
And this is why Gabriel emphasizes the importance of holistic health.
Uh-huh.
It's not just about focusing on one aspect of our well-being.
Right.
It's about addressing the interconnectedness of our physical, mental, and emotional health.
It makes me think about all the buzz around at-home microbiome testing kits.
Right.
What's Gabriel's take on those?
Yeah.
Are they worth it?
Gabriel offers a word of caution.
Okay.
He believes that while these tests can be informative,
Yeah.
they can also give you more worry than solutions. Well, they can provide insights into the composition of your gut microbiome.
Okay.
But as Gabriel points out,
Yeah.
they often lack standardized interpretations and actionable recommendations.
So what am I supposed to do with that information?
It's a good question. What does it really mean if you have a higher percentage of one type of bacteria versus another?
Right.
The science is still evolving, and we're only beginning to understand the complexities of the microbiome.
So it's more about the big picture, not getting hung up on specific numbers.
Exactly. Instead of getting caught up in the minutiae of these tests,
Okay.
Gabriel suggests focusing on what we know works.
Okay.
A diverse, fiber-rich diet, fermented foods, stress management,
Right.
and spending time in nature.
Speaking of nature, I'm curious about how our modern lifestyles are impacting our microbial buddies.
Yeah.
I mean, we spend so much time indoors glued to screens.
Right.
Is that messing with our microbiome?
There's growing evidence that our modern urbanized lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
with its limited exposure to nature, is indeed having an impact on our microbial diversity.
Okay.
There's a fascinating study from Finland that Gabriel highlights.
Oh, I've heard about that one. What was it again?
Researchers compared two groups of children,
Oh.
those who played in a forest for a month and those who played in a more sterile plastic playground environment.
Interesting.
The kids who spent time in the forest showed significant improvements in their gut health and immunity.
Wow.
They had a greater diversity of beneficial bacteria in their gut,
Mm-hmm.
and their immune systems were more robust.
It's crazy to think that just playing in the dirt can have such a big impact.
It highlights the importance of reconnecting with nature,
Yeah.
not just for our mental health,
Right.
but for our microbial health as well.
Okay.
Even small changes like spending time in a park, gardening, or hiking can make a difference.
So it's not just about what we eat, it's about where we spend our time, too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's about creating an environment that supports a thriving, diverse microbiome.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about how our early life experiences, antibiotic use, diet stress levels, and even our connection to nature all play a role in shaping our gut microbiome.
Yeah.
But let's go back to that initial question we posed at the beginning.
Yeah.
Who's really in control?
Right.
Are we puppets of our microbes, or do we have agency?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
And while it's tempting to think that we're at the mercy of these trillions of tiny residents,
Right.
Gabriel's insights make it clear that we have a tremendous amount of influence over our microbiome
Okay.
through our lifestyle choices.
So it's not a dictatorship, it's more like a democracy.
I like that analogy.
Mm.
It's about partnership and collaboration.
Okay.
We can't control every single microbe in our gut,
Right.
but we can create an environment that supports their well-being,
Uh-huh.
and in turn,
Yeah.
they support ours.
It's empowering to realize that we're not just passive bystanders. We have the power to cultivate a thriving inner garden, and in doing so, improve our overall well-being.
Exactly. And that brings us to a really thought-provoking question that we haven't
Sure.
explicitly discussed,
Okay.
but it builds on everything Gabriel has shared with us.
You mentioned a thought-provoking question.
Yeah.
What is it?
Given the profound impact of the microbiome on early development,
Yeah.
especially those first few years of life,
Right.
what are the potential long-term consequences
Okay.
of the pandemic lockdowns on a generation of children?
That's a heavy question and a really important one,
Yeah.
especially considering everything we've learned about how crucial those early years are for shaping the microbiome.
Yeah.
W- What are your initial thoughts?
It's still an area of ongoing research, but some early studies
Okay.
suggest there could be potential consequences.
Okay.
Think about it.
Yeah.
During lockdowns, many children had limited social interactions,
Uh-huh.
reduced exposure to diverse environments,
Right.
and potentially even changes in diet.
Yeah.
All of these factors
Uh-huh.
could have influenced their microbiome development.
It makes you wonder about the ripple effects.
Right.
Could these early disruptions have long-term impacts on their health and well-being?
It's certainly a possibility.
Wow.
We know that the microbiome plays a crucial role in immune system development.
Okay.
Disruptions during those early years could potentially increase the risk of allergies,
Right.
autoimmune disorders,
Yeah.
and other health issues later in life.
It's a bit sobering, isn't it?
Yeah,
We were all trying to do the right thing to protect ourselves and others during the pandemic,
right.
but it's hard not to think about the unintended consequences.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It highlights the complexity of public health interventions and the importance of considering the broader impacts on our health,
Okay.
including our microbial health.
Right.
It also underscores the need for more research in this area to fully understand the potential long-term effects and develop strategies to mitigate any negative impacts.
So where do we go from here? What can we do to support healthy microbiome development in children, especially in light of these potential challenges?
Well, one of the most important things is to promote breastfeeding
Okay.
whenever possible.
Right.
Breast milk is a rich source of prebiotics and beneficial bacteria that are essential for establishing a healthy gut microbiome in infants.
And what about for older children? What can parents and caregivers do to nurture their microbiome?
It goes back to many of the things we've already discussed.
Okay.
Encouraging a diverse, fiber-rich diet,
Yeah.
limiting processed foods and sugary drinks,
Uh-huh.
and incorporating fermented foods into their meals.
Makes sense. And I imagine getting them outside and playing in nature is also crucial.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Exposure to nature, even just spending time in a park or a garden,
Uh-huh.
can help diversify their microbiome and strengthen their immune system.
Okay.
It's also important to be mindful of antibiotic use.
Right.
While antibiotics are sometimes necessary,
Yeah.
it's crucial to use them judiciously and only when absolutely needed.
Right. It's all about that delicate balance. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today. We've explored this amazing invisible world that lives within us, learned how it influences our health in profound ways, and even considered the potential impacts of our modern world on our microbial companions.
It's been a fascinating journey,
Yeah.
and I hope it encourages listeners to think differently about their health and well-being.
Right.
We're not just individuals,
Yeah.
we're complex ecosystems.
Yeah.
And understanding that interconnectedness is key to thriving.
I couldn't agree more. So what's the biggest takeaway you hope listeners glean from this deep dive?
I think the most important message is that while we can't control every aspect of our microbiome,
Right.
we have a tremendous amount of agency in shaping it through our lifestyle choices.
Mm-hmm.
What we eat, how we move, how we manage stress,
Yeah.
how much time we spend in nature. All of these factors
Yeah.
contribute to the health and diversity of our inner world.
It's empowering, isn't it? We have the power to cultivate a thriving inner garden.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And in doing so, we can create a foundation for not just physical health, but also mental and emotional well-being. It's all connected.
Well said. This has been an incredibly insightful deep dive. A huge thank you for guiding us through this fascinating world.
It was my pleasure.
And to our listeners, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep nurturing your microbiome. It's a world of wonder waiting to be discovered.